Hello, welcome to the video on calculating the management expense ratio. This video will give you a quick demonstration of a typical exam question that you may encounter and how to go about solving it. But it's important not just for exam preparation to understand the components that go into management expense ratios. It's very important to be able to explain this to clients that may have questions in terms of how this number is calculated. So let's get started. So typically on an exam you may be asked what the MER is for a previous year and be given a scenario that has a number of different numbers presented in it, and there's always more information needed presented in cases like this. So let's say we're given an example, and as we go through it we see that there's a management fee for the year that's listed, there's a total fund expense for the year that's listed, there is the net asset value at the beginning of the year, January the 1st, there's the net asset value at the end of the year, and they also give you an average net asset value. So in going through the exam question, we isolate what information that's given, and we find that it basically is giving you these different pieces of information. And so let's just fill in the numbers that might be in the case. So let's say for a management fee we have $1.4 million and the total fund expense of $2 million. That on January the 1st the fund had a net asset value of $62 million. And at the end of the year, December 31st, that same fund had a net asset value of $74 million. And that overall throughout the year, the average net asset value was $68 million. So in a question like this, when we are calculating the ratio is usually referring to comparing one item to another item, and we look at the information that we've collected. We basically have two different types of information. We're given expenses in one form or the other, and we're also given net asset values at different times of the year. So in terms of calculating the management expense ratio, it's going to be an expense divided by a net asset value. And the trick in the question is to recognize what is the correct expense that we'd use and what is the correct net asset value that we'd use. So in our calculation for our MER, it's a little bit of a trick that this is titled management fee, and you would think that the management expense ratio would be the management fee. But in essence, it makes more sense in calculating and presenting to investors the total fund expense as an accurate picture of the expenses that the fund has occurred throughout the years. So the MER is always based upon the total fund expense. So in cases like this, if you're given management fees plus another type of fee, you always take the total for the year in calculating the MER. So what is that divided by? It wouldn't be conveying clear information if we talked about the fund value at the beginning of the year or the end of the year, because something may have happened at the beginning of the year and the end of the year. It's a much more accurate description to look at the net asset value averaged out over the year. So MER is always based upon the average net asset value, so that's what goes below. So MER now is just simply the total fund expense divided by the average net asset value. So if we look at what we have up here above in calculating it, we have the total fund expense of $2 million, which includes the management fee as well as some other costs, divided by the average net asset value, which in this case is the $68 million. So putting that into your calculator will give you a value of 0.0294 as the MER. And this is often expressed as a percentage, and to express it as a percentage you simply take the 0.0294 and times it by 100 to get 2.94%.